I'm sorry, everyone. The wedding is cancelled. She left me for a Ferrari!
Standing at the altar in my $1,000 tuxedo, I felt the vibration of my phone against my chest. The priest was mid-sentence, something about love and commitment, when I saw Lily's name flash on the screen. Not coming. Ethan just got me a Ferrari. We're driving to Vegas instead. Before we dive deeper into this story, I have one small request. Please subscribe, drop a like, comment, and hit that hype button to boost this channel so more people can discover these incredible Reddit stories. I stared at the message for exactly 3 seconds. The church fell silent, except for the whispered gasps rippling through the pews like wildfire. 200 guests, including my business partners, employees, and half the tech community, watched as I showed the phone to Father Mackenzie. "Well," I said, my voice carrying clearly through the microphone clipped to my lapel, "looks like we're going to need a rain check." The explosion of voices hit like a tsunami. My name is Owen Mitchell, and I'd just become the most publicly humiliated man in the city. But here's the thing about being a self-made tech entrepreneur who'd just taken his company public for $47 million. You don't get there by rolling over when someone kicks you in the teeth. I walked down that aisle with my head high, every step calculated. Behind me, chaos erupted. Lily's bridesmaids were frantically calling her phone. My groomsmen looked like they'd witnessed a car crash. The wedding photographer kept snapping pictures, probably already calculating how much TMZ would pay for exclusive shots. Outside the church, I loosened my tie and called my lawyer. "Marcus? Yeah, it's Owen. Remember that prenup clause about abandonment? Time to activate it." 3 hours later, I was sitting in my downtown condo, still in my wedding tux minus the jacket, scrolling through social media. The hashtag #FerrariWedding was already trending. Someone had posted a video of Lily and Ethan, her so-called business manager, speeding away from some luxury car dealership in a red Ferrari convertible. She was laughing, her veil streaming behind her like a victory flag. My phone buzzed with a call from Trey, my best friend since college, and the owner of Mitchell's boxing gym downtown. "Bro, I just saw the news. You okay?" "Define okay," I said, pouring myself 3 fingers of bourbon. "My fiancée just ditched me at the altar for a guy with a sports car, and it's all over the internet. But hey, at least I saved 50 grand on a reception." "What are you going to do?" I took a long sip and felt something cold settle in my chest. Something that had been building for months as I watched Lily's late-night meetings with Ethan, her sudden interest in luxury brands, her increasingly distant behavior. "I'm going to remind them why you don't mess with someone who built a $47 million company from nothing." The next morning, I woke up to 17 missed calls and 43 text messages. The story had gone viral overnight. "Tech millionaire jilted at altar for Ferrari" was the headline on 3 different gossip sites. They dug up photos of me, Lily, and Ethan from various events over the past year, creating a timeline of betrayal that I'd been too blind to see. But the worst part wasn't the public humiliation. It was the text from Cleo, my 17-year-old stepdaughter who I'd been supporting through college. "Dad, I'm sorry, but I can't take sides. Ethan's been really good to Mom, and maybe you two just weren't right for each other. Please don't make this harder than it has to be." I stared at that message for a full minute. Cleo had been calling me dad for 3 years. I'd paid her tuition, bought her a car, helped her through her parents' messy divorce, and now she was taking their side. That's when I realized this wasn't just about Lily leaving me. This was about respect, about showing everyone who thought they could walk all over Owen Mitchell that there are consequences to betrayal. I got dressed, drove to the dealership where they'd picked up the Ferrari, and asked to speak with the manager. Prestige Motors sat on the expensive side of downtown, all glass and chrome with cars that cost more than most people's houses. I walked in wearing jeans and a t-shirt, looking like exactly the kind of customer they'd normally ignore. The sales manager, a slick guy named Peterson with perfectly styled hair and a smile that cost as much as his dental work, approached cautiously. "Can I help you?" "I'm Owen Mitchell. You sold a Ferrari to Ethan Brooks yesterday?" His expression shifted immediately. Everyone in the city knew my name now, thanks to the viral humiliation. "I'm sorry, sir, but I can't discuss other customers' transactions." I pulled out my phone and showed him a screenshot of Lily's Instagram story from that morning. She was posing next to the Ferrari with the caption, "Living my best life with my real man." "Here's the thing, Peterson. I know Ethan Brooks, and I know his financial situation. So either he came into a sudden windfall, or that car isn't actually purchased." Peterson's smile faltered. "Sir, I really can't. It's leased, isn't it?" The silence told me everything I needed to know. 3-year lease, probably with a balloon payment at the end that he'll never be able to afford. Am I close? Peterson glanced around nervously. "Mr. Mitchell, I appreciate your situation, but my situation is that my ex-fiancée is broadcasting to the world that she left me for a man with a Ferrari. Except it's not his Ferrari, is it? It's a rental with monthly payments." I leaned against his desk, keeping my voice conversational. "Now, I'm not asking you to violate any confidentiality agreements, but if someone were to ask Mr. Brooks some pointed questions about his finances in a very public way, and if the truth happened to come out, well, that wouldn't be your fault, would it?" 20 minutes later, I was sitting in my car with everything I needed to know about Ethan's precarious financial situation. The Ferrari lease was costing him $1,800 a month. His credit was maxed out. And according to Peterson, who'd become surprisingly talkative once I mentioned potentially buying a car myself, Ethan had barely qualified for the lease. But I wasn't done at the dealership. I made one more stop. "I'd like to buy that Ferrari," I told Peterson, pointing at an identical model on the showroom floor. "Excellent choice, Mr. Mitchell. This is actually the same model that Mr. Brooks. I'll pay cash, full price, today." Peterson's eyes lit up like Christmas morning. An hour later, I drove out of Prestige Motors in a brand new Ferrari, identical to Ethan's except for the color. Mine was midnight black instead of red. I had plans for this car. That evening, Lily and Ethan were having dinner at Chez Laurent, the most expensive restaurant in the city. I knew because Lily was live streaming the entire meal on Instagram. They'd parked the red Ferrari right in front, where everyone could see it. I parked my black Ferrari right next to theirs. The restaurant had floor-to-ceiling windows facing the street. Perfect. I walked in, asked for a table with a view of the parking area, and ordered a bottle of their most expensive wine. Then I called the local news station. "Hi, this is Owen Mitchell. You know, the guy from yesterday's wedding story? I'm at Chez Laurent right now, and I think your viewers might be interested in a follow-up story about the Ferrari that stole my bride." 20 minutes later, a news van pulled up. I watched through the window as the reporter approached both cars, then came into the restaurant. Lily and Ethan were 2 tables away, and I could see the exact moment they noticed the camera crew. "Mr. Mitchell, Channel 7 News. Can you tell us about these 2 identical Ferraris?" I smiled for the camera. "Well, mine's the black one. Paid cash for it this afternoon. As for the red one," I shrugged. "Maybe you should ask Mr. Brooks about his monthly payments." The reporter's eyes sharpened. This was better than they'd hoped for. By the time they finished interviewing me, Ethan was on his phone, probably calling Peterson at the dealership. But it was too late. The story would air at 11, and by morning everyone would know that Lily's real man was driving a leased car he could barely afford. I finished my wine, left a generous tip, and walked out past their table. "Enjoy your dinner," I said pleasantly. "And Ethan, you might want to check your insurance coverage. City parking can be rough on expensive cars." Lily stared at me with a mixture of shock and something that might have been fear. Good. She was starting to understand that the man she'd humiliated wasn't going to disappear quietly. The next morning brought a flood of responses. The news story had aired as promised, complete with footage of both Ferraris and my pointed comments about monthly payments. Social media was buzzing with speculation about Ethan's finances, and several gossip blogs had picked up the story. But the most interesting response came from an unexpected source. "Owen, it's Maya Chen, Lily's agent. We need to talk." Maya had been Lily's best friend since college and had helped build her influencer career. She was smart, ruthless, and had always been polite but cool toward me. I'd assumed she was just protective of Lily's interests. We met at a coffee shop downtown, away from the usual spots where we might be recognized. "This has to stop," Maya said without preamble. "You're embarrassing everyone involved." "I'm embarrassing everyone?" I laughed. "Maya, your client left me at the altar and broadcast it to the world. I'm just evening the score. By stalking them? By harassing local businesses? Owen, you're making yourself look desperate." I studied her face. Maya was beautiful in a sharp, calculated way, with perfect makeup and clothes that cost more than most people's rent. But there was something else in her expression, something that didn't match her words. "What's really going on here, Maya? Because if you're just worried about Lily's reputation, we both know she's handled worse scandals." Maya's composure cracked slightly. "Lily's losing sponsors. 3 brands pulled their contracts yesterday after the Ferrari story broke. Her followers are starting to turn on her. And that affects your commission." "It affects my business. I have other clients, Owen. This drama is toxic for everyone." I leaned back in my chair. "So what are you proposing?" "Stop the public attacks. Handle this privately, like adults. Lily made a mistake, but destroying her career won't bring back your wedding." "You're right," I said. "It won't bring back my wedding, but it might teach her that actions have consequences." Maya's eyes hardened. "You don't want to make an enemy of me, Owen. Is that a threat?" "It's a fact. I've built careers, and I've destroyed them. Lily isn't the only one with secrets." After Maya left, I sat in the coffee shop thinking about that conversation. There had been something off about her concern for Lily's career. Maya was successful enough that losing one client, even a major one like Lily, wouldn't devastate her business. I called Trey and asked him to meet me at his gym. Mitchell's boxing gym occupied the ground floor of a converted warehouse in the industrial district. Trey had bought the building 5 years ago when the neighborhood was still rough, and now it was surrounded by trendy lofts and artisanal coffee shops. The gym itself remained unchanged, a no-nonsense space filled with heavy bags, speed bags, and the smell of sweat and determination. "You look like hell," Trey said when I walked in. "Feel worse. I think I'm in deeper than I realized." I told him about my conversation with Maya while we worked the heavy bag. Trey had been a semi-professional boxer before a shoulder injury ended his career, and he still moved with the fluid grace of someone who understood violence as both art and necessity. "So the agent's threatening you now," he said, holding the bag steady while I threw combinations. "What kind of secrets do you think she means?" "That's what worries me. I've been careful about everything. Taxes, business practices, personal life. But Maya's been in Lily's inner circle for years. If there's something I've missed, or maybe she's bluffing. Powerful people make threats when they're scared." I stopped hitting the bag. "What would Maya be scared of?" "You tell me. You're the one who knows these people." That evening, I did something I probably should have done months ago. I hired a private investigator. Jennifer Walsh had been recommended by my lawyer as someone who specialized in financial investigations. She was a former FBI agent who'd gone private after 20 years with the Bureau, and her reputation for uncovering hidden assets and financial fraud was legendary. "I need to know everything about 3 people," I told her in her downtown office. "Financial records, business relationships, personal connections, everything." I gave her files on Lily, Ethan, and Maya, along with a retainer check that made her eyebrows rise. This is personal, isn't it? She said. Very personal. But I have a feeling it's about to become business too. While Jennifer started her investigation, I focused on more immediate concerns. Cleo had been avoiding my calls since her text message, and I needed to understand where I stood with her. I drove to her college campus and waited outside her dorm. When she finally appeared, she looked uncomfortable but not entirely surprised to see me. "Dad, you can't just show up here. We need to talk, Cleo, and I'd rather do it privately than through text messages." We walked to a quiet spot near the campus lake. Cleo was tall and blonde like her mother, but she had her father's sharp intelligence and, I'd thought, my sense of loyalty. "I saw the news story about the cars," she said. That was pretty harsh. "Harsh? Cleo, your mother humiliated me in front of 200 people and then broadcast it to the world. What did you expect me to do? Handle it like an adult instead of like a spoiled kid who didn't get his way." The words hit harder than I'd expected. "Is that really what you think? That this is about not getting my way?" Cleo looked uncomfortable. "I don't know, Dad. Ethan's been really good to Mom. He makes her happy in a way that—" She trailed off. "In a way that I didn't?" "I didn't say that. You didn't have to." I sat down on a bench, suddenly feeling exhausted. "Cleo, I need you to understand something. This isn't about jealousy or hurt feelings. Your mother and I had problems, yes. But the way she handled this, the public humiliation, the lies about Ethan's car, that's about respect. And when people don't respect you, they walk all over you." Cleo sat down next to me. "So you're going to keep embarrassing her? Keep making this worse? I'm going to make sure everyone knows the truth. What they do with that information is up to them." We talked for another hour, and by the end, I thought I'd made some progress. Cleo was still conflicted, but she seemed to understand my position better. As I was leaving, she gave me a hug. "Just be careful, Dad. I love you, but I love Mom too. Don't make me choose sides." "I won't," I promised. But even as I said it, I wondered if that was a promise I could keep. 3 days later, Jennifer Walsh called with preliminary findings that changed everything. "We need to meet," she said, "and you're going to want to sit down for this." Her office felt smaller this time, crowded with printouts, financial records, and photographs spread across every surface. Jennifer looked like she'd been working around the clock. "Let's start with Ethan Brooks," she said, sliding a folder across her desk. "On the surface, he appears to be a successful business manager and marketing consultant, but dig deeper, and things get interesting." I opened the folder to find bank statements, credit reports, and business filings. "He's broke," Jennifer continued. "Not just cash poor, completely leveraged. The Ferrari lease is just the tip of the iceberg. He owes money to 3 different credit card companies, he's behind on his rent, and his business has been operating at a loss for 8 months. So how's he maintaining the lifestyle? That's where it gets complicated. Look at this." She showed me a series of bank transfers, small amounts, never more than a few $1,000s, but regular as clockwork. "Someone's been subsidizing him. The payments come from a shell company called Meridian Consulting." "Who owns Meridian?" Jennifer smiled grimly. "Maya Chen." I stared at the documents. "Maya's been paying Ethan?" "For 6 months, always cash transfers, always under the reporting threshold. But here's the really interesting part. The payments started 2 weeks before Ethan first appeared in Lily's social media posts. The implications hit me like a physical blow. She hired him. That's my working theory. Maya Chen hired Ethan Brooks to seduce your fiancée and break up your marriage. I sat back in my chair, trying to process this information. But why? What does Maya gain from destroying my relationship with Lily? That's where your ex-wife's financial records become relevant. Jennifer pulled out another folder. Lily's been living beyond her means for over a year. The influencer income is good, but not enough to support her lifestyle. She's been borrowing money. From who? Maya Chen, through the same shell company. But these aren't subsidies. They're loans, with interest. Lily owes Maya over $200,000. The picture was becoming clearer, and I didn't like what I was seeing. Maya's been setting up a long con, I said. Get Lily in debt, then arrange for her to leave me right before the wedding. But why? Because of your prenup. If Lily had gone through with the marriage, she would have had access to your assets. She could have paid off her debts to Maya and potentially cut ties with her agent. But by leaving you at the altar, she gets nothing from me, and she's still trapped in debt to Maya. Exactly. Maya maintains control over her biggest client and potentially gains leverage over you in any future business dealings. I thought about Maya's threat in the coffee shop, her claim that she could destroy careers as easily as she built them. This wasn't just about Lily's influencer career, it was about power and control. There's more, Jennifer said. I found connections between Maya and several of your business competitors. She's been feeding them information about your company's marketing strategies, client lists, and expansion plans. Corporate espionage. Conducted through pillow talk with your fiancé, who had access to your home office and personal computer. The betrayal was deeper than I'd imagined. This wasn't just about a woman leaving me for another man. It was about a coordinated attack on both my personal life and my business. What about Cleo? I asked. Is she involved in this? Jennifer's expression softened slightly. Your stepdaughter appears to be an innocent victim. But Maya's been cultivating her through social media, encouraging her to share family information and photos. Cleo thinks she's just being friendly with her mother's agent. I left Jennifer's office with a new understanding of what I was facing. This wasn't a simple case of infidelity. It was a carefully orchestrated campaign to destroy my life and steal my business secrets. Maya Chen had played a long game, using Lily as a weapon and Ethan as a tool. But she'd made one crucial mistake. She'd underestimated me. That evening I called Trey and asked him to meet me at the gym after hours. I needed to think, and I thought best while hitting things. So, what's the plan? Trey asked, wrapping my hands while I explained what Jennifer had discovered. I'm going to give them exactly what they want, I said. They want me to be the villain? Fine. But I'm going to be a villain with a plan. What kind of plan? I started working the heavy bag, each punch helping me think more clearly. Maya's been playing a sophisticated game, but she's made everything too complicated. Too many moving parts, too many people involved, too many financial records. She's created a web, but webs can be torn apart if you know where to pull. And you know where to pull? I'm going to start with Ethan. He's the weakest link. Broke, desperate, and probably scared about what happens when Maya doesn't need him anymore. You think he'll flip on her? I think he'll do whatever it takes to save himself. And once Ethan breaks, the whole thing comes apart. Over the next 2 days, I put my plan into motion. First, I had my lawyer send Ethan a formal notice that I was considering legal action for alienation of affection and interference with contractual relations. It was a long shot legally, but it would scare him. Second, I arranged for Jennifer's findings about his financial situation to be leaked to several gossip blogs. Not the information about Maya, I was saving that, but enough to make it clear that Ethan was broke and living a lie. Third, I started following them, not stalking. I was careful to stay within legal boundaries. But Lily and Ethan had made their relationship public, posting constantly about their locations and activities. It wasn't hard to show up at the same restaurants, the same clubs, the same events. And every time I appeared, I made sure to look successful, confident, and completely unbothered by their presence. I brought dates, attractive, intelligent women from my business network who understood they were helping me make a point. I drove the Ferrari, wore expensive clothes, and made sure every interaction was photographed and shared on social media. The message was clear. Owen Mitchell was doing just fine without Lily, but the real pressure was building behind the scenes. Ethan was starting to crack. The breaking point came at the Riverside Charity Gala, a black tie event that drew the city's elite every year. I'd bought a table for 10, filling it with business associates and their spouses. Lily and Ethan were there too, guests at Maya's table near the front of the ballroom. I watched them throughout the evening. Lily looked stunning in a designer gown that probably cost more than most people's monthly salary, but there was tension in her posture. Ethan kept checking his phone and drinking more than he should at a public event. During the silent auction, I made a point of bidding aggressively on several high-ticket items, including a weekend at a luxury resort that Lily had mentioned wanting to visit. Every bid was announced publicly, and I made sure my name was clearly heard. When I won the resort package for $15,000, I caught Lily staring at me across the room. There was something in her expression, regret, maybe, or recognition of what she'd given up. But it was Ethan's reaction that interested me more. He looked sick. After dinner, during the dancing portion of the evening, I approached their table. "Maya," I said pleasantly, "lovely event. You look beautiful tonight." Maya's smile was sharp as a blade. "Owen, I'm surprised to see you here. I would have thought you'd want to avoid awkward social situations." "Awkward? Why would this be awkward? I'm having a wonderful time." I turned to Lily, who was avoiding eye contact. "You look lovely too, Lily. That dress is stunning. Ethan has excellent taste." Ethan started to stand, probably to assert some kind of masculine dominance, but I was already moving on. "Actually, Ethan, I was hoping we could have a word, privately." "I don't think that's a good idea," Maya said quickly. "It's fine," Ethan said, though he looked anything but fine. "What do you want to talk about?" We walked to a quiet corner of the ballroom, near the floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the river. "How are you enjoying the Ferrari?" I asked conversationally. "It's fine." "Good. I was worried about those monthly payments. $1,800 is a lot of money when you're living paycheck to paycheck." Ethan's face flushed. "I don't know what you're talking about." "Sure you do. Just like you know about the credit card debt, the overdue rent, and the business that's hemorrhaging money." I kept my voice friendly, casual. "But here's what I'm really curious about. How long do you think Maya is going to keep paying your bills?" The color drained from his face. "What?" "Come on, Ethan. You're not stupid. You know Maya's been subsidizing your lifestyle through Meridian Consulting? The question is, what happens when she doesn't need you anymore?" "You're crazy." "Am I? Because I have bank records that say otherwise. I have evidence of every payment Maya's made to keep you afloat. And I'm wondering what Lily would think if she knew her new boyfriend was essentially Maya's employee." Ethan glanced back toward their table where Maya was watching us intently. "What do you want?" he asked. "The truth. About Maya's plan. About why she hired you to break up my marriage. About what she's really after." "I don't know what you're talking about." "Then let me explain it to you." I moved closer, lowering my voice. "Maya set this whole thing up. She got Lily into debt, then hired you to seduce her and break up our wedding. The question is, what did she promise you?" Ethan was sweating now, despite the air conditioning. "You're paranoid." "Maybe, but I'm also rich and I'm angry and I have very good lawyers. So here's what's going to happen. You're going to tell me everything or I'm going to destroy you. Publicly, financially, and legally. You can't. I can and I will. You think your life is difficult now? Wait until I'm done with you. The lease on that Ferrari, I can make sure it gets revoked. Your business, I can make sure no one in this city ever hires you again. Your relationship with Lily, I can show her exactly how much money Maya's been paying you to be her boyfriend." Ethan looked around desperately, as if searching for an escape route. "Or," I continued, "you can tell me what I want to know, and I'll make this all go away. Your choice." The silence stretched between us for nearly a minute. Finally, Ethan spoke. "Maya said you were planning to divorce Lily after the wedding." "What?" "She said you'd been talking to lawyers, that you were going to use the prenup to cut Lily out of your money." She said Lily deserved better, that someone needed to save her from you. I stared at him. And you believed that? Maya showed me documents, legal papers. She said you were planning to humiliate Lily publicly after the marriage, then divorce her and leave her with nothing. What documents? Divorce papers. Already filled out, with your signature. My mind raced. I'd never signed any divorce papers, never even consulted a divorce attorney. But Maya was smart enough to forge documents, especially if she needed to convince Ethan that he was the good guy in this scenario. So you thought you were rescuing her? Maya said someone needed to get Lily away from you before you could hurt her. She said if I could make Lily fall for me, I'd be saving her life. And the money Maya's been paying you? She said it was an advance against future earnings, that once Lily was free from you, her career would take off, and I'd be managing her full time. I almost felt sorry for him. Almost. Ethan, you've been played. Maya doesn't want to save Lily. She wants to control her. And she used you to do it. You're lying. Am I? Ask yourself this. If Maya really wanted to save Lily from me, why didn't she just tell her about these supposed divorce papers? Why did she need to hire you to seduce her? Why all the secrecy and manipulation? I could see the doubt creeping into his expression. Because Maya needed Lily to be isolated and dependent. If Lily had just broken up with me, she might have found someone else, someone Maya couldn't control. But by orchestrating this elaborate betrayal, Maya ensured that Lily would be emotionally vulnerable and financially dependent on her. Ethan was quiet for a long moment, processing this information. What do you want me to do? He asked finally. I want you to help me prove what Maya's been doing, and in return, I'll make sure you come out of this alive. Before Ethan could answer, Maya appeared beside us. Gentlemen, she said smoothly, I hope you're having a productive conversation. Very productive, I said. Ethan was just telling me about your business arrangement. Maya's smile never wavered, but her eyes went cold. I think there might be some confusion. Ethan, perhaps we should return to our table. Actually, Ethan said, and I could hear the decision in his voice, I think Owen and I need to finish our conversation. Maya's composure cracked for just a moment, long enough for me to see the fury underneath. Ethan, she said carefully, I think you should be very careful about what you say next. Is that a threat? I asked. It's advice, for both of you. She turned and walked back toward their table, but I could see the tension in her shoulders. The game was changing, and she knew it. So, I said to Ethan, are you ready to hear about my offer? The next morning, I met Ethan at a coffee shop across town, far from anywhere we might be recognized. He looked like he hadn't slept, which was probably accurate. I need to know I can trust you, he said without preamble. You can't, I replied honestly. But you can trust that helping me is better than staying loyal to Maya. I slid a folder across the table. Jennifer Walsh put this together. Financial records, communication logs, business filings, everything that proves Maya's been manipulating both of us. Ethan opened the folder and started reading. I watched his face change as he absorbed the information. She's been planning this for over a year, he said finally. Longer. Maya's been positioning herself to take control of Lily's career and gain access to my business information since before you were in the picture. You were just the final piece of her plan. And Lily? Does she know? I don't think so. I think Lily believes this is a real romance, that you genuinely fell for her and she fell for you. Maya's been very careful to keep the financial arrangements hidden. Ethan closed the folder and rubbed his face with both hands. What happens now? Now we give Maya a taste of her own medicine. Over the next hour, I explained my plan. It was complex, requiring precise timing and Ethan's complete cooperation, but it would expose Maya's manipulation while giving both Ethan and Lily a chance to escape her control. What about the Ferrari? Ethan asked. Keep it for now. You're going to need it for what comes next. That evening, Ethan called Lily and suggested they have dinner at Chez Laurent again, the same restaurant where I'd ambushed them with the news crew. But this time, he had a different agenda. I wasn't there to witness the conversation, but Ethan recorded it on his phone, with my lawyer's assurance that it would be legally admissible if needed. According to the recording, Ethan told Lily that he was concerned about her relationship with Maya, that he'd noticed some financial irregularities in her business arrangements. He suggested that maybe she should have an independent accountant review her contracts and income statements. Lily's response was exactly what we'd expected. She defended Maya, insisted that her agent had always looked out for her best interests, and accused Ethan of being jealous of her successful career, but she also agreed to have the financial review just to prove Ethan wrong. 3 days later, Jennifer Walsh presented Lily with a comprehensive analysis of her financial situation. The meeting took place in Jennifer's office, with Ethan present for support and me listening via conference call. Ms. Rodriguez, Jennifer began, I've reviewed your contracts, income statements, and business expenses for the past 2 years. I'm afraid there are some significant issues we need to discuss. What kind of issues? Your agent has been systematically overcharging you for services, taking commissions above industry standard, and lending you money at interest rates that would make a loan shark blush. The silence on the phone was deafening. That's impossible, Lily said finally. Maya's my friend. She's been helping me build my career. She's been building your dependency, Jennifer corrected. Look at these numbers. 2 years ago, you were earning enough to live comfortably within your means. But as your income increased, so did your expenses, always just enough to keep you borrowing money from Maya's company. You're saying she's been sabotaging me? I'm saying she's been managing your finances in a way that ensures you can never be independent of her services. Jennifer walked Lily through the evidence methodically. The inflated expense reports, the unnecessary business costs, the loans that were structured to be nearly impossible to repay. But why would she do this? Lily asked, and I could hear the tears in her voice. Control, Ethan said gently. As long as you owe her money, as long as you need her services, she has power over you. There's more, Jennifer said. I have evidence that Maya has been sharing your personal information with third parties, including details about your relationship with Owen and access to his business plans. That's when Lily broke down completely. I listened to her sob over the phone and felt something unexpected. Sympathy. Lily had betrayed me, humiliated me publicly, and destroyed our relationship. But she'd also been manipulated by someone she trusted, used as a weapon in a game she didn't even know she was playing. What do I do now? She asked through her tears. Now, I said, speaking for the first time, we make sure Maya pays for what she's done. There was a long pause. Owen? Lily's voice was small, broken. I'm so sorry. I didn't know. I thought... I know what you thought. Maya made sure you thought it. Can you forgive me? That was the question I'd been dreading. Because the truth was complicated. I could understand how Lily had been manipulated, could even sympathize with her situation. But forgiveness? That was going to take time. We'll see, I said. First, let's deal with Maya. The confrontation happened at Maya's office the next day. Lily, Ethan, and I walked in together, along with Jennifer and my lawyer. Maya's assistant tried to stop us, but we pushed past her into Maya's private office. Maya looked up from her desk with that same sharp smile, but I could see the wariness in her eyes. This is quite a group, she said. Should I be concerned? You should be terrified, I replied, taking a seat across from her desk. Because your little game is over. I don't know what you're talking about. Jennifer placed a thick folder on Maya's desk. Financial records, communication logs, bank transfers, and recorded conversations. Everything that proves you've been defrauding your client, manipulating her personal relationships, and engaging in corporate espionage. Maya's composure finally cracked. You can't prove anything. We can prove everything, my lawyer said. The question is whether you want to handle this privately or publicly. What do you want? Full restitution to Lily for all fraudulent charges and excessive fees, I said. Cancellation of all debt she owes to your company. A public apology for your role in manipulating our relationship. And your complete withdrawal from any business dealings with my company or my associates. And if I refuse, then we go public with everything. Criminal charges for fraud, civil suits for damages, and a very detailed story to every gossip blog and news outlet in the city. Your career will be over, and you'll probably go to prison. Maya looked around the room at all of us, her gaze finally settling on Lily. You have no idea what you're giving up, she said to her former client. I made you. Without me, you're nothing. Without you? Lily said quietly. I'm free. Maya signed the agreements an hour later. The money would be transferred within 48 hours, all contracts would be voided, and Maya would issue a public statement about creative differences that led to the end of their business relationship. As we left her office, I felt a sense of closure that I hadn't expected. The betrayal was still there, the hurt and anger hadn't disappeared, but the truth was finally out in the open. What happens now? Lily asked as we stood on the sidewalk outside Maya's building. Now you rebuild your life, I said, without Maya controlling it. And us? I looked at her, really looked at her, for the first time since the wedding day. She was still beautiful, still the woman I'd fallen in love with. But she was also the woman who'd humiliated me in front of 200 people, who'd chosen another man over me, who'd shared my private business information with my competitors. I don't know, I said honestly. I need time to figure out what I can forgive and what I can't. I understand. Ethan cleared his throat. For what it's worth, I'm sorry too. I thought I was helping, but I realize now that I was just another one of Maya's tools. What will you do? I asked him. Return the Ferrari for starters. Find a real job. Try to rebuild my life without Maya's money. I studied his face. Despite everything, I believed he was genuinely remorseful. Keep the Ferrari, I said. Consider it severance pay for helping us expose Maya. I can't afford the payments. Then sell it. Use the money to start over. 6 months later, I was sitting in my office when my assistant announced that I had a visitor. Lily walked in, looking nervous but determined. I wanted to thank you, she said, for helping me get free from Maya and for not destroying my career when you could have. It was true. I could have made sure Lily never worked as an influencer again, could have poisoned her relationships with every brand and sponsor in the industry. Instead, I'd stayed quiet about her role in Maya's scheme, allowing her to rebuild her career independently. How are you doing? I asked. Better. It's been hard, starting over without Maya's connections, but I'm learning to manage my own business, and I'm making enough to live on without borrowing money from anyone. That's good. Owen, I know I don't deserve it, but I was hoping maybe we could try to be friends. I know we can't go back to what we were, but I miss having you in my life. I thought about it. The anger had faded over the months, replaced by something closer to indifference. I didn't love Lily anymore, but I didn't hate her either. Maybe, I said. We'll see. She smiled, the first genuine smile I'd seen from her since before our wedding day. That's more than I hoped for. After she left, I called Trey. How did it go? He asked. Better than expected. I think I might actually be able to forgive her someday. And Maya? I smiled grimly. Maya's career had imploded spectacularly after our confrontation. Word had spread through the industry about her manipulative practices, and her remaining clients had fled. She'd closed her agency and left the city, though rumors suggested she was trying to restart her career in Los Angeles. Maya got exactly what she deserved, I said. Sometimes the best revenge is just letting people face the consequences of their own actions. So, what's next for you? I'm thinking about taking a vacation, maybe driving that Ferrari across the country, seeing what's out there. Alone? For now. But who knows? Maybe I'll meet someone along the way who appreciates honesty over manipulation. As I hung up the phone, I realized that Maya had actually done me a favor, though she'd never intended to. By forcing the truth into the open, by making me fight for my dignity and self-respect, she'd shown me exactly what kind of man I was capable of being. I was someone who didn't back down from a fight. Someone who protected the people he cared about. Someone who believed that actions had consequences and that the truth, however painful, was always better than a comfortable lie. Maya Chen had tried to destroy my life, but instead, she'd helped me discover who I really was. And that was worth more than any revenge I could have planned.